Right guys and girls, and welcome to another suggestions video. This one's going to be on the wilderness again. I've got a few more videos to come on the wilderness. This is probably one of my favourite ones though. Right, so in a nutshell, the suggestion is kind of like if the Slayer skilling and Deadman mode were to have a baby. So a wilderness, basically how it works is a wilderness taskmaster can set you either combat, non-combat or random between the two tasks to complete within the wilderness. More tasks will be assigned automatically as soon as you finish them, so you don't have to keep going back to the taskmaster. And all items related to the task will be noted in a resource bag that it gives you. It can hold pretty much an unlimited amount of items in noted form. However, you will be schooled throughout the duration of this, so the more tasks you do, the more you're going to risk, which is kind of the Deadman mode twist on it. Quick note, so if you leave the wilderness in any manner, say through teleports or going into an instance or a safe area or a bank or whatever, then your task streak will be reset and you'll have to go back to the taskmaster to start over. So a quick example would be you go to him, you say you want random tasks, so it could be either combat or non-combat. First task, go mine 60 coal. You go over there, mine the coal. As soon as you mine one coal, it automatically goes into the resource bag that's been given to you in a noted form. So by the end of that task, you'll have, I can't remember what I said now, was it 70? Whatever the amount was of coal. Then as soon as you've finished it, a note will pop up in the chat box saying what your next task is. Say it's to kill 50 hill giants. You run over, kill some hill giants, and everything they drop will be automatically popped into your resource bag in noted form. So the bones and whatever drop they have. So there are a few examples. The point system, so you get 1 point per task plus 10% of that task number. So from tasks 1 to 9, you'll get 1 point only. And then from tasks 10 to 19, you'll get 2 points because 10% of that number would be 1. So 1 and 1 is 2. Simple maths there. And not only that, but you also get points for a point bonus for consecutive tasks, which will be 50% of the task number if you picked combat or non-combat tasks, or 75% if you chose to do the random tasks, because you'll need more gear and therefore have less space for food and stuff, so it'll make it more difficult to survive longer. So for example, a 10 task consecutive task streak would get you all the points up to that point, and then for that particular task you'll get 15 points if you picked either combat or non-combat, because 10 plus half of 10 is 15, and you'll get 17 points if you chose the random tasks, because 10 plus 3/4 rounded down would be 10 plus 7, which is 17. So that's how it works. Rewards wise, I'm suggesting a few unique items. So we've got the Ring of the Wild, which is something that provides a passive increase in experience in all non-combat stats when in the wilderness. This increase, the percentage of it, changes depending on whether you're schooled or you're on a task. So for example, just on its own you get 1% increased experience. If you're schooled you get 3%, if you're on task you get 5%. They're just suggested numbers, obviously subject to change. There are requirements to wear. What I'll do though is I'll pop the document at the end of this video, because it's got a table of sort of suggested costs and requirements and things like that. So on to the next item, escape orbs, which are basically orbs that when you click on them they drop and break, and then they'll teleport you a short distance in a random direction, much like the Chaos Elemental. Not only that, but it will also briefly stop a player or NPC from attacking you. So say you've been attacked by a ranger, for example, you press on the orb, it teleports you right next to the ranger, it will still stop the combat, and then that person will have to re-click on you to attack you again. This is available to both free-to-play and pay-to-play, and has a 2 to 3 second cooldown, so you can't just spam click them until you're way away. It's also got a max stack, so you can't keep hundreds and hundreds on you. It also only works in the wilderness, and it can't teleport you outside the wilderness if you were to use it near the ditch, for example. Next item, tool belt. So hammers, chisels, etc., etc. can be attached to this to save space, which will be useful for both this suggestion and my previous wilderness suggestion, tongue twister there, which was the survival minigame, which I'll link in this video. Next item, Ring of Deception, which is kind of an interesting concept. So it's to hide or changes the colour of your minimap icon. Now hiding all the time might be a bit too overpowered, and if so, maybe it only hides your icon when you perform in a certain skill. So for example, if you're chopping down a tree, it will hide your minimap icon. However, as soon as you stop chopping that tree, your icon appears, and that would make for some fun and funny ways of trying to approach a player or ambushing a player. So that'd be interesting. Again, I'm suggesting available to both free to play and pay to play. Next is non-combat prayers, which can either only be activated in the wilderness or alternatively can be activated anywhere, but their effect is significantly reduced outside of the wilderness. So a basic skill prayer might increase your level by 5%, and an advanced maybe 10%. A quick note about those are prayers can't be used for boosting or for shortcuts, or for level requirements. So let's say you want to kill some abyssal demons. If you've got 80 Slayer, you can't just pop the prayer on and kill them. You still need the 85 Slayer. Next is resource prayers, so things like increased chances of finding gems whilst mining, increased chances of finding birds' nests, etc., etc. All these non-combat prayers might need to be included in a separate window. So say you click on the prayer tab, maybe there's two things at the top that you can click on for either combat or non-combat prayers, because obviously otherwise there's going to be quite a lot of prayers, and that might make it a bit more complicated than it needs to be. Alright, next is Man of the Wild perks, or Man or Woman of the Wild, which is a perk. I've suggested 3 levels for this. So the basic concept is it reduces your percent of experience in all non-combat skills outside of the wilderness and increases them in the wilderness. So level 1 will reduce your experience outside the wilderness by 10% and increase it by 10% in the wilderness. Level 2 will reduce your experience by 10% outside the wilderness and increase them by 12% in the wilderness. And level 3, 10% outside and increase them by 15% in the wilderness. And if you do want to revert these perks, then it will cost the same amount of points to do that. That's basically all the rewards I've suggested, as well as a bit like the Slayer reward interface at the moment. It'll look a bit like that. So it'll have some other things like, for example, increase in a task amount or decrease in a certain task amount. So you can kind of, in a way, customize the way that your tasks work. In the document, I'll include a few tables on the rewards, the reward cost, the point system, and the effect on this will have on experience and gathered resources rate. The pros, I think, of this suggestion are it encourages skillers to go into the wilderness, which means for more interactive gameplay for them, whilst it also means more and different reasons for PKers to go into the wilderness. So this will help bolster and vary PvP activity. It promotes strategy and planning for escape and attack routes, which will make for interesting content, watching both awesome escapes and loots. And it inspires players to more competitive heights with the addition of an open-ended high score that tracks the amount of tasks and the highest streak, the person with the highest streak. So that'll be quite interesting for things like clans as well. So one clan might pick a certain guy out of their clan and try and defend him and try and get him to the top of the high score. Another clan might be doing the same for one of their guys, and obviously trying to kill the other guy's guy. A lot of guys in that sentence, but I think you get my point. It might make for some interesting content. So please let me know what you think about these ideas anyway, and whether you spot any problems with it or ways people can exploit it, or if you've got any improvements or additions you want to make, that'd be great. And thanks for listening and watching, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video.